Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. So, I like to break. Reminds me of my academy days back.
Yeah,
So,
so we got it started. I believe I'm recording.
okay, awesome. So, yeah, I guess we'll just start. So, a couple of few interesting articles I want to get your opinion on. Their Wall Street Journal today had, let's start with the China plans new military training facility in Cuba. And so this was again, this was today's article in the Wall Street Journal. China and Cuba are negotiating to establish a new joint military training facility on the island, sparking alarm in Washington that it could lead to stationing of Chinese troops and other security and intelligence operations just 100 miles off Florida's coast, according to current and former U.S. officials. So, Blinken, I guess Secretary of State Blinken just went over there. He had his meeting um, with uh, President Xi, and apparently it didn't go so well. They weren't able to get this rectified, and basically Cuba. I don't know if there's an actual deal made just yet. According to the article, it's still kind of in the works and being discussed, and we're trying to see if we can't get in there and say, I don't, well, we don't think this is in your best interest, Cuba, for doing this. But um, tell me your thoughts on what are the implications, right? What are the implications of China moving military forces 100 miles off the US soil? And let's think, I want your opinion kind of back towards how it's going to affect our mining industry, the Bitcoin cryptocurrency mining industry, and then what's your take on this in general?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of packed in right there, but I also try to stay as unbiased as possible. But at the same time, if they do put a training facility down in Cuba, then that would mean that they're possibly starting some, implications of war, if you will. If that's something or the way that the US kind of takes it and we start to go to war with China, then that would be super detrimental, not only to our industry, but to, I'd think, the whole economy as a whole. Um, First, it'd be really difficult to get miners. So being able to actually purchase them, uh, they might not even be able to legally ship them to us. So knowing how all that kind of stuff usually works, seeing the stuff with Russia and getting things out of Russia, usually they just use a secondary port. So they ship everything to, a neutral country and then ship it from there to wherever they need to ship it to. So
Sure.
don't think it would necessarily halt all things, but at the same time, it would definitely put a big dent in the economy, I think, as a whole, for sure. I mean, most of our products we get are from China, whether they manufacture it there, which I personally think they don't do much of anymore. They actually just do mostly warehousing, from my understanding. So they buy things in bulk and store it in China and then ship it worldwide from there. So they probably end up having to move. A lot of those companies would have to move their operations, would be my guess.
Okay. Yeah, I think knowing what we know about how, let's call it mainstream media, likes to start planting seeds, right? Because a few weeks ago, they came out, the Wall Street Journal, same thing, came out with an article saying, hey, China and Cuba are collaborating and they're doing something. Like it was very much a, hey, they're in discussions of something, and no comment from State Department, no comment from DC, right? Just basically saying that they were wrong. And then they come out later and say that China has been in Cuba since 2019. Um, all this stuff is, and then so they declassify documents and moving this agenda forward. I I definitely think that there is there's a play here from our media to basically condition us to believe that China is coming, and not that it's not true, but you could see. I think there's a clear movement to try to get us to believe that China is now a threat, right? And um, China has its sights set on Taiwan for sure, and that Taiwan is responsible, I believe, from a few years ago, was responsible for up to 60% of all semiconductor manufacturing in the world, not just the United States, but globally. They were responsible for 60%. That's a huge chunk, and I do believe that China wants to take Taiwan without firing a shot. And I think that this is probably a posturing here to take, so hey, this is a negotiating chip for us to back off of Taiwan, because Taiwan, I don't think the Chinese really care about Cuba, nor do they actually care about going to war with us, I think, but they definitely want to take Taiwan. And when they do that, then they're going to be definitely in sitting in the driver's seat for technology and Bitcoin and crypto Asics. I think the TSMC is still probably, that's where Bitmain gets all their chips, and I'm sure that's where WhatsMiner gets their chips. I mean, like there's a huge,
Everybody.
yeah, everybody gets their, most people in the world get their chips from TSMC, and they're headquartered out of Taiwan. So I know that they're trying to take positions and steps to move into the United States with their manufacturing, but those efforts, I think, are going to be short, or a dollar short and a day late. And when this happens, I think this is definitely escalation, no matter how we look at it, whether it's media manipulation or long game by China. I think this is clearly an escalation here, and it definitely will affect not just our industry but every industry, because everything takes a microchip now. Everything that has a microchip, any wafer, any kind of technology, I think is going to be affected by this. So I definitely think that the days of throw away your ASIC, just buy new because it's so cheap, I think are kind of they may be coming to an end faster than we think. And the average purchase price for an ASIC over the last 3 years has been $5,000, for last gen model. So I think that I think 5,000 a unit and up, I think, is not out of the question, and that's going to have, but it's also going to have implications for us. Is, are we even going to get parts? So now we're going back to what we most people have been doing, which is trying to scrap parts from boards that are broken, and which is not necessarily the best way of doing the job, but it's probably where everything is kind of heading. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. But I think that no matter how we look at it, it's not good. It's not good from a global economic standpoint. And I think that those that have ASICs in circulation and that are taking active steps to make sure that their operations are being maintained and that they're actually taking care of their equipment, I think those are the ones that are going to be able to do very well here in the next few years.
Yeah, and I also think that might be more of like propaganda per se. I mean, the U.S. is big in military. You could probably name at least half a dozen, if not more, military bases that we have next to China, maybe even closer than Cuba is. So they're not doing anything different than we are in that sense, for sure. Uh, as far as Taiwan goes, that would be very interesting. I know we're trying to protect them to make sure that they can keep doing what they're doing independently, at least from my understanding. Uh, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely some big tension. I know neither party probably wants to go that far. There's also, the two chip acts that Biden signed in. that's bringing a lot of that manufacturing, at least the hopes is, back to the local. And that's what I personally believe is that everything should be made locally. Should be manufactured in China for China, manufactured in the US for US. And then if we're shortcoming on either side, we can help the other party out, ship them over if need be. But um, and I know a lot of the manufacturers are indeed doing, if not full manufacturing in the US, they're at least doing some assembly here. Um, Whether it be, they ship the hash boards and then they just assemble the whole unit or what have you. Um, Also, a lot of the machines aren't even being manufactured in China. They're being manufactured in different countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, you name it. Uh, so yeah, I just think that's definitely interesting. I'd hate to see, us go to war with another big superpower, especially since, they're kind of overgrowing us in GDP year after year and a lot of other things. Um, Also know that they're starting to sign agreements that, instead of selling oil for US dollar, they're going to be doing it on either the yuan or the, different gold back system or something like that they're trying to figure out. And I also know from previous history of all the wars that we've actually started in the US, we usually claim that it's about creating freedom over there. But the truth of the matter is that we're usually over there for the oil. And um, you know, if you actually look up history, you'll find out that every single dictator that we overthrew, we actually did it right after the fact that they announced to the world that they're going to get off of the US back standard and that they were going to switch over to either a gold standard or, use some other currency to trade their oil. Um, just kind of interesting, kind of food for thought, if you will. But
Okay.
uh,
I think so. Another interesting article that we read this morning that get your feedback on, again, from the Wall Street Journal. It find it here, find it here.
about the Fidelity.
Yeah. Crypto exchange EDX. EDX, Echo Delta X-ray markets starts operations. And this is okay. So a new cryptocurrency exchange backed by Citadel Securities, Fidelity Investments, and Charles Schwab is seeking business from brokers and investors interested in digital assets but wary of troubles at FTX. The venture EDX markets quietly began executing trades in recent weeks. EDX released a statement about the launch Tuesday, 9 months after its backers unveiled their plans for the crypto market. The launch shows that some Wall Street firms remain interested in crypto despite a regulatory onslaught by the SEC, and in a market that has cooled off substantially over the past 18 months. A spokeswoman for Citadel Securities, an electric market making firm with a huge presence in stocks and options, confirmed it was trading cryptocurrencies on EDX. Citadel Securities billionaire founder Ken Griffin was earlier a very public critic of crypto. EDX says its approach draws on standard practices in traditional regulated financial markets and differs in key ways from how crypto exchanges typically operate. One major difference: EDX is a non-custodial exchange, meaning it doesn't directly handle its customers' digital assets. Instead, EDX runs a marketplace where firms agree to execute trades of coins and dollars using the platform to agree on prices. Then the firms move crypto and cash between each other to settle the trades. Later this year, EDX plans to launch a clearinghouse to facilitate the process of settling trades, but even then, it plans to use third-party banks and a crypto custodian to hold customer assets. So, essentially, there is good old boy network is getting still very much interested in crypto, and there's a new player in town. What's your thoughts on EDX?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sounds like something that's been a long time coming. I also think it's going to trigger a lot more regulatory um, uh, into the actual crypto market as a whole. I mean, we're already seeing it with the SEC and um, FTX and all that stuff. So having a big player come in and actually start opening up an exchange, I think that's pretty interesting. Also, them using non-custodial, so that'll be definitely interesting how they actually execute that. How exactly would that work? Is I don't. I'm sorry about that. I got another call.
All right.
Uh, but yeah, but if it's going to be non-custodial, then how is that exactly going to work? Are they going to take the crypto and then transfer it over? So like I hook up my, public key to the exchange, and then that way, whenever I buy crypto, it just gets transferred to my, private wallet. I mean, that in itself would be fantastic. You don't see any exchanges really doing that. And it's kind of scary because a lot of people, they'll even keep their crypto on the exchange, not knowing that, you know, come a minute from now, you don't know, the whole system could crash and all your crypto's gone. And maybe they already spent it, or they started loaning it out to other people, or they try giving you interest on your crypto, or, and that's where you
Yeah.
start getting into a lot of trouble, is
Yeah.
where you start, yield farming, they call it.
Yep. If you don't, yeah, a good rule of thumb that I heard from another professional investor is if you don't know where the yield is coming from, then you are the yield.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what it is they're telling you, like how they're going to give you a 20% return on your money, week over week, then chances are that you are the yield. So, yeah, I think this is interesting. There's there's clear demand from bigger players that are still interested in doing some trading. The gambler mentality, I think, is still prevalent. Um, it's going to be interesting whether or not these are buy and hold people, or if they're high volume volatility traders with algorithmic trading, or is it spot market? Is it you're going to be like OTC? Like how is this going to be executed? I think is going to be interesting depending on the volume of trading that goes across the desk. So I think there's definitely some. This is definitely something to keep an eye on because it is the traditional establishment. You got Fidelity, you got Charles Schwab, and you have Citadel, all of which are legacy banking systems. So it's gonna be very interesting to keep an eye on and see how this integrates into crypto.
Yeah, definitely. Do like the fact that, I'll probably bring in a lot more people into the industry for sure. Um, People might feel it's a little more safe in that aspect. I know FTX kind of did a big damper on it. Talk to anybody who's not in the crypto industry, and they're like, "Oh yeah, crypto's a farce," or you know,
Yeah,
"Bitcoin's fake, it's not real," da da da, and it's all about a Ponzi scheme, and it was just one big person or people that really tainted the industry as a whole. Um, but yeah, seeing some big players come in and actually opening exchanges and stuff like that will definitely be pretty interesting to see how that unfolds.
yep,
Um,
worth
I
keeping.
definitely think it's going to bring a lot more regulatory regulatory into the actual crypto industry for sure. Uh, which technically is a good thing for us because if there's good regulation, people are a little more less fearful of actually investing in it. Um, Although I think they're all missing the actual main point of crypto. It's not an investment per se. It's more of a actual currency than just a stock. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's going to be interesting to see what narratives really start playing out into crypto. Is it going to act like a stock? Is it going to be, or is it a security? And if it is a security, how's it look? Or if it's a commodity, how's it look? Or is it a currency? How does it look? I think we're going to definitely start seeing the narrative, and we're going to see the bigger players start to stake their real estate. I think in the definitely next couple of years. So
yeah, it's also the other problem is that crypto as itself is pretty much all of the above. So how do you even classify it?
yeah, they're going to make it fit into some sort of box because they need to. Different special interest groups have um, different motivations for wanting it to be a commodity versus a security versus uh, whatever else they want to call it, a currency. Like there's definitely some motivations behind each of those narratives, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything's going to pan out.
Because you also had like Celsius go under, you had Voyager go under, you had a lot of other companies that went under.
Not to mention the
Um,
banks. I mean, Silvergate, Signature.
yep,
Yeah,
all the banks going under, even the Swiss bank, which is insane to even think about.
yep, absolutely. Well, I know you're a busy guy over there. Where are you now? You're up in Wisconsin?
Up in Wisconsin for now, yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit at the end here. Tell us a little bit about your like yourself and what you offer and what you're doing.
Yeah, well, my name's Austin Childress, and I do a lot of training in the crypto industry, do a lot of training mostly on Asic repair. Um, Also help people out on operations, maintenance, building out their facility or building up their facilities, or um, do just about kind of everything in that aspect. Have technicians that can go out and do either repairs on site or um, uh, do training as well. So it's kind of mainly what I do, at least for now.
Awesome. So, and a little bit about myself. I own Orion, I'm the owner of Orion and Taurus, and we are an advanced ASIC repair specialist. Right now we're based out of Orlando, Florida, and we are, part of a common mission that I share with Austin is our desire and our mission of professionalization of our Bitcoin mining industry, and we're doing that one hashboard at a time. And the founding tenets or the core values that are driving our success and professionalization is our uncompromising quality with our relentless pursuit of excellence. So right now we're running a good summer special. If you're interested, please reach out. info@orionandtaurus.io.
Yeah, you can find me just about anywhere as crypto miner CHR.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate you, Austin.
Yeah, likewise. Chat with you later.
Thanks.
Bye.